Hello from Manchester Cathedral. My name is David Millward, also known as Milky. I'm here at the Cathedral today mixing front of house sound for TinderSticks, and I'm using an Allen & Heath iLive 80 console at front of house.
Thanks for that, Dave. And can you tell us a bit about your history, background, experience?
Yep, I started working the business in the early 1980s, and I've worked for numerous acts over the years, and generally fairly busy, and used probably just about every piece of equipment going.
Well, you've started, with a smallish. You started with a fairly small PA rental company. You had a choice, maybe monitors, front of house. Where have you kind of focused on in recent years?
Well, these days I do exclusively front of house. I did a lot of monitors early in my career because nobody wanted to do monitors in those days, really.
What made you migrate towards doing front of house?
Good question. I don't really have an answer. I think I just like the idea of being more creative, really. When you're doing monitors, obviously these days with in-ear monitors you probably can be a lot more creative, but it tended to be just a battle for volume, getting something louder than something else. Yes, and then so I made the decision really to start turning down monitor gigs quite some time ago and concentrate on front of house, and yeah, very happy to have done so.
In recent years, I know you've embraced digital. You've kind of investigated all the digimixers out there and spent time getting your head around them and worked with them.
Yeah.
Did you find that fairly easy, coming from an analog background?
Yes, I've really enjoyed it, actually. It's always a new challenge because there's very little continuity between most of the digital mixing desks. It's almost like starting afresh on every single one that you come to, as opposed to analog, where there's a thread running through every single console, really. But it keeps the brain cells active, and it's very enjoyable. Yeah.
You spent a day with the Allen & Heath, and then you decided to go on tour with it. What do you think the A&H iLive brings to the party?
Well, the obvious first thing to say is that the iLive is tiny. The shows we've been doing on this tour have been a mixture of small theatres and clubs around Europe, with the exception of today, the Cathedral, which is quite special. And there's always been the challenge of space, and I particularly wanted to get as small a front of house area as possible, which is actually something I've been trying to do recently anyway with other mixing consoles. So that really appealed, the fact that I could just sit there and everything was just there without having to reach over here or over here. And now I've used it for the last 3 weeks. I think it sounds great, and I love the drag and drop faders anywhere, that any slot can be anything you want. And I've been having great fun doing a 2-minute tutorial for house engineers and support band engineers, and just dropping the channels in where they want them, and off they go, really. It's a very straightforward console to use.
I noticed with this system you've been using the MIDI interface, and you've been recording the gigs and stuff like that. What made you fancy doing that?
Well, we just started doing that yesterday. A quick email to Allen & Heath. They sent a MIDI card out, and it was the singer's, Stuart's, idea to record, specifically for tonight's show, but we're recording all 3 of the UK shows that we're doing on the run. So yesterday was get the card, slot it in, off and running, really, and it's worked very well, very unobtrusive.
Have you been playing it back offline?
I very briefly today, just through my headphones. We've been a bit pressed for time today because we've had to be quiet for various services in the cathedral, because it is, it's a working cathedral basically. Yeah, I did set that up and I've tried it and that works perfectly. So yeah, virtual sound checks, very, very easy to accomplish.
You've been using the scenes. I noticed you set the show up on the,
yes.
on the mixer for the support band. What's the name of the support on this tour?
On this, it's the Visitors. There's actually just one person and an acoustic guitar, which is the dream support act, really.
Do you think this is, going digital? Do you think it's aided your creativity and the band's creativity?
Yes, it has, definitely. I've been using small amounts of automation on analog consoles for years. I remember, getting a MIDI program changer and MIDIing up effects for each song years and years ago, back in the, I guess, early 90s or late 80s, in fact. So I've been kind of interested in that aspect of things. Otherwise, on an analog board, you could spend all the time between one song ending and one beginning setting up all the different effects that you need, muting channels, getting everything ready. By that time the song started, Now one button and everything's sorry, this is my rider here clinking away.
Yeah, I won't talk too much longer so you can get tuck in.
Yeah, well, I needed half a bottle to even start doing this interview, to be honest, but I had to settle for a cup of tea instead.
Well, thanks very much. Is there anything else you want to say before we say bye-bye?
Thank you very much to Alan and Heath for giving me the time and the console, really, and yes, it's been very enjoyable.
Okay, well, look, we'll see you at the show. Thank you very much.
Thank you.